one of the moderator for this session. We would like to welcome you on board. And we have a presentation from the Ministry of Energy. So would like first to invite Engineer Wilson Kariuki, Director, State Department of Energy, to represent our Principal Secretary. Is Engineer Wilson Kariuki with us? Wilson,
yes.
welcome, and let's take us through. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me try to share I don't know, maybe I cannot be able to share the screen, but I think I can just continue. The Minister of Energy, as you are aware, has a vision of affordable quality for all Kenyans, and the mandate is to facilitate provision of clean, secure, sustainable, and affordable energy services. So, for socio-economic development, while protecting the environment.
Sorry, can we mute, please? Thank you.
Yes, the institutional structure, the Kenya energy sector is unbundled, where we have got the ministry, which is providing the policy guidance. You have got Energy Transition and Petroleum Tribunal doing the dispute resolution in the sector. EPRA, which is the regulator. Then we have got generation, which is was further unbundled, where we have got the Public Utility Engine, and then we have GDC, which does exploration of geothermal. Then we have got private independent power producers. So we have a space of generation from private sector based on the prevailing procurement laws. Then we've got the transmission company called KETRACO, which is a fully owned special purpose vehicle, which has been implementing transmission lines. Mostly the capital has been provided by the government, but due to the tightening fiscal space, then KETRACO has formulated a framework for PPP investment. Then we've got the distribution of electricity, which the main off-taker is KPLC, the main distributor and retailer. Then you have got REREC, which is doing the social function for last mile electricity connectivity. Then you've got the private distribution companies, and then we have got the solar home systems, mini grid developers, both public and private. Then, of course, the mandate of the State Department will be national energy policy formulation, hydropower development, thermal power development, although we are trying to go to ensure that we are going renewable, geothermal exploration and development, rural education program, promotion of renewable energy, and the regulation and conservation. The installed capacity, currently geothermal 940 megawatts, hydro 839 megawatts, wind 436 megawatts, biomass 2 megawatts, solar 210 megawatts, and the diesel plants that you're having 586,000 megawatts. The installed capacity is around 3,238. Or of course, we also have off-grid generation that is away from the grid. And then, of course, we have imports from Uganda, where there is a power exchange, and then you have got a power purchase agreement with Ethiopia, which is currently 200 megawatts. When you go to the potential, we have the country, the potential for geothermal is 10,000 megawatts. And as you have said earlier, whatever has been developed so far is 940 megawatts. Hydro, 6,000 megawatts potential. Against the installed capacity of 839. Wind energy is 30,000 megawatts. And so far, as I said before, 36 megawatts has been developed. Cogeneration, 300 megawatts. And so far, you have just done 2, which is grid connected. For solar, we have 15,000 megawatts potential. And against what we have installed in the grid is 210 megawatts, but of course we have got off-grid areas which could also benefit from solar mini grids, which is around 2.3 megawatts, which has been developed in the off-grid areas. And then finally, we have got the biogas potential, which is 101 megawatts. Then, of course, we have got the Kenya Transmission and Distribution Network, which has got, we are talking about high voltage direct current, what you're getting from Ethiopia. we are talking of almost 7,000 megawatts of high voltage. Then we have got 51,000, or rather 81,000 from medium voltage, that is 33 kV and 11 kV. And the grid is expanding, and of course, we will need some partners to help us achieve our goal of universal connectivity by 2030, so that you'll find that this infrastructure will still continue being upgraded. Then the electricity access, Kenya has come from far to reach where it is. 75% of Kenyans are connected, both on off-grid and off-grid. The rest 25% also requires some resources. We need to collaborate with partners to ensure we achieve 100% by 2030. And now, when you go to the investment in the sector, you can see that in the generation sector, the investment is normally done by integrated energy planning. The risk cost power development plan, the current plan is 2022-2041, and is actually under review. And you can see in the medium term from 2020 to 2027, there are already some committed plans, because in the interconnected grid, power supply has to match demand, so as to ensure there is no stranded capacity that will increase the revenue requirement of the sector. And of course, that means that any plant you want in the system will have an effect on end user tariff. But however, saying that, we can say that the procurement in the power generation is mostly by competitive bidding, that is through PPP arrangements. Of course, there is also the feed-in tariffs. From 2008, there was a feed-in tariff that was covering solar, wind, biomass, small hydro. But now this is changing to energy auctions, that is solar, wind, and the ministry is in the final stages of actually finalizing this policy, so that now going forward, solar and wind will be done by energy auctions for price discovery. And of course, then we have got PPP, privately initiated proposals for concessions, especially in geothermal. On the fiscal and other incentives in the sector, through the National Treasury, we have got duty on power generation equipment that is waived. There's also a policy framework on issues of government support measures that is normally done on a case-by-case basis. And of course, all the resources that we talked earlier, the maps are with the ministry, and this can be shared by the investors. So, concluding, the investment opportunity in the sector, of course, I said the transmission system, public-private partnerships. KETRACO has developed a framework for the transmission infrastructure. Then, as I said, the last mile grid intensification, we need a lot of resources to achieve our objective of universal connectivity. Then on the current distribution system, we need to automate it and digitize, so that we can be able to improve the reliability of the network. And this more information from this can be got from our distributor Kenya Power. Then, of course, we have got the private investment in mini grids and solar home system, especially in off-grid areas. Currently we have a project with the World Bank, and there are many projects that are in the works, which are normally bidded, and this is an area that the Italians can participate either in funding or in contracting. Then you've got the small hydropower plants, which, as I said, the feed-in tariff going forward, we'll be considering small hydropower plants and biomass plants. Then, of course, we have got the energy efficiency. As you know, energy is the first fuel, and for us to achieve our sustainable development goal, of course, we have to ensure that we have measures for energy efficiency. There's recently a strategy that has been formulated, the Kenya National Efficiency and Conservation Strategy, and there's in for investment in energy service companies in Kenya through development of, or funding and developing a pipeline of energy efficiency projects in our manufacturing sector, so that we can ensure that we can be able to achieve our objectives on energy efficiency. Then, of course, there is the issue of waste to energy projects, which there's an opportunity. We have got various dump sites in the country, and this is another opportunity that investors can look at. Then, of course, in the capacity building in the sector, in the energy sector, we have our geothermal, which is we have expertise in this, but of course there are other areas whereby we might need expertise from Italy, whether it is solar, wind, integration of variable renewable energy into the system, and the like. Then, of course, I talked about the issue of energy auctions. Then there's a study on the battery energy storage that is ongoing, and because where we are, as we continue greening our grid with intermittent renewable, then we need to talk about ancillary services, and these are studies that are ongoing, and very soon, based on the recommendation of this study by the end of this year, then I foresee opportunities for battery energy storage being implemented by private parties because of their expertise. Then there is the other field of bioethanol and biodiesel processing plants. That is the extraction of biofuels, ethanol from sugar, cassava, biodiesel from palm oils and jatropha. Then, of course, there is offering support to farmers in the production of bioethanol and biodiesel feedstock. Then, of course, Kenya has set a target of clean cooking by 2028. So there is also an area of investment in clean cook stoves, market acceleration, that is establishing assembly plants in the short term to clean cooking cook stoves, as well as manufacturing plants in the long term. Then there is the scaling up of the Kenya National Domestic Biogas Technology, including institutional ones. And this one, of course, the county is also coming, so there will be partners can also collaborate with the government and also the national government and also the county governments. So that is all from our side, and thank you very much for your kind attention. We look forward for interacting further.
Okay, maybe a question. Maybe you are not prepared for it, but what do you think the next 3 years? What is in December? What do you think the next 3 years, the opportunity where these investors can partner in the bidding? What is coming up in the bidding in the short term that you think they can partner? Any idea?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, as I said, in the generation, we are talking about ancillary services and the energy auctions. As I said, the current discourse, the current plan that we use for generation is being reviewed and will be ready by end of November. And as I said, the country has got, the objective of ensuring 100% clean energy by 2030. So the issue of solar, the role of solar in the grid, if it is determined, then that is an area. But also the area of the battery energy storage, which is a new area. That one, I'm sure that is something that the investors can also consider. Also the issue of transmission lines, private transmission PPP, PPP projects. They can, we have Ketraco who can shed more light on how that framework is working, because already they are having a pilot project, and I think there's something that can consider. And also now the issue of the clean cooking, also, which is very important.
Okay. Actually, on the transmission side, we still don't have local manufacturing of the transmission cables in the country, which is which we feel, I think it's an opportunity for investors to see how they can come in and help in the manufacture of these high voltage transmission lines, which is still important. And I think also in the country, when you establish very easy to export across the Thank you very much, Wilson. To see is Kibet of Kengen. Maybe you can come in and tell us a bit about Kengen and the opportunity you see in that ecosystem of Kengen. Is Kibet here with us?
Yes, Moderator James, I appreciate I'm here with you.
Karibu sana.
Asante. With your permission,
Mr. Kibet, do you want me to share your presentation, or can you do it by yourself?
I can do it by myself.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm hoping everyone can see my presentation.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll try and keep it under 5 minutes. I'll also not dwell on what my colleague has shared, so that we can move a bit faster in the interest of time. So that's the outline of my presentation. You've had an extensive view of our portfolio in terms of what is installed nationally. We hit a peak demand of 2169 on 9th of August, 2023. And this threatens our reserve margin, because we have a peaking demand that is moving, and we therefore have to accelerate a lot of our installations. I'm happy to inform you that out of the 3156 megawatts, close to 1252 are from independent, privately owned power producers. So this provides a good comfort and confidence to the Italian investor forum to actually seek to invest a lot into our power generation in Kenya. We have about 75% accessibility, and you can see that even provides a bigger portfolio in terms of what needs to be expanded within the near future. Our mix is interesting. We don't shout a lot about this, but we're beginning to bring it to the fore. We have close to 92% green. On good weekends, when we have good hydrology, we squeeze the thermal to as low as 4%. So this keeps changing, but you can see on average, we are above 90%. And it shows that we are at the forefront in terms of the climate statement and carbon neutrality initiatives. An outlook into 2041, just to see this, we have a declaration, a commitment from our president that was done in COP26 and repeated through that we need to be 100% green by 2030. Okay, we're also looking to grow our installed capacity by close to 2,000 more megawatts, just to hit about 5,500. This provides opportunities in hydro, where we need to look at close to 2,100, wind close to another 900, nuclear, solar, transmission, and also geothermal 1,200. Key opportunities, as mentioned by my colleague, because of this rapid expansion and because of the threat to our big demand, we're looking at going flat out in terms of developing power plants. This looks into geothermal, hydro, wind, nuclear, and battery storage that has been mentioned as well. Kenya is looking to see how private partnerships can play, especially in developing geothermal fields. Looking into hydro plants, you could see we just signed off recently for the High Grand Falls. We're looking at, we have many wind sites that are promising, and we're also looking at nuclear and LNG, but specifically we're looking into the green portfolio. That is what is being given preference over everything else. I'd like to talk about our decarbonization campaign. What we've done in KenGen is we've set up a green energy park, and James, with your permission, I'll just try and delve into that. We're trying to locate a zone that industries can come and get the guarantee of 100% geothermal green power and produce products that are compliant to the climate statement. So we're looking at inviting industries, getting them land, getting them a good place to dock, and we just sell the electricity directly from the plants straight to the industries. We did ground break on the 31st of August. We did have a groundbreaking ceremony for the first 100% green data center that is being done by Konza, and it's attracted quite a lot of interest. And these are areas that we would like the Italian Forum to actually look into, because we are now giving data services that are 100% climate compliant. The park is located in Naivasha, just within the Olkaria geothermal site. And there are 3 key products that are available. We are providing 100% green electricity at 7 US cents. We're also providing brine, which is a mixture of the hot water salts, salty hot water that comes out of the separation after we get the steam out of the wells. And we're selling that at $1.66 per ton. We're also selling high pressure steam. This is to facilitate industries that need raw steam. Instead of boiling it and converting the water to steam, we're happy to give you the steam directly, so that significantly reduces your production cost, especially for industries like textile who need the steam. We're looking at cutting down your production costs by close to 50%. Coupled to the power that is affordable and within reach, we're looking at scaling down textile production costs close to 70%. A key advantage of our industrial park, especially in Naivasha, is the high altitude. This gives you reduced O&M costs, especially in terms of cooling. We have good infrastructure network. We have this standard rail gauge really getting there. We have a meter rail there. We have a road there. We have an airstrip. It also provides market entries into the regional markets. That's the East Africa Community, COMESA. Being centrally located in the country, you have good access to all raw materials from east, west, south, and north of Kenya that you require for your manufacturing and production. The steam is available, and we are bringing you to the source of it so that we limit a lot of transmission losses in terms of moving the steam, so that you're able to benefit with a high efficiency there. We are also happy to report that in Kenya, we have the best workforce and skill set. You might never find more brilliant people and hardworking people than the Kenyan workforce in the entire world. Our land is abundant. The government is really keen on investing this, so we call it the government love. Such forums, we're given a lot of space and a lot of opportunity to pitch our idea, and government is more than welcome. I have never seen a government more welcoming than this, just to invite investors to come and set and dock onto this investment forum that has been provided by the country. Just about the energy park in Olkaria, we have close to 4 independent fiber internet channels that gives you guarantee of good connection and providing real-time access to any information or any system that is set up there. By bringing these industries together, I'm just going to share a map. We're looking at a lot of symbiosis where you'll find a byproduct or a waste product is an input to this other industry. And that's what we're trying to create within the Olkaria Geothermal Park. So we have 3 categories. We have the light industries, the small warehousing kind of services. Then we have industries to deal with steam, that's the textile, pulp, wood, and agribusiness. And then we're looking at the heavy industries, that's fertilizers, iron, plastic, packaging, and fabrication. To speak into agribusiness, steam is known to kick out pests, and it's a replacement for pesticides and chemicals that are used to keep up with agrobusiness. So with this, you're coming up with a sanitized way of delivering a product that has never been exposed to any chemical right from inception. This is just an overview of the plan, just to show you what we're doing and the different phases we are. A highlight of that is we are doing the first phase, which is developing close to 845 acres. And we have already put up an expression of interest, and we're having people onboarding, but we'll do this in phases. So we'll always be having subsequent expression of interest, just inviting players to come on board based on the loading phases. I'm also inviting the team to the only geothermal spa in Africa. There are 2 in the world. There's one in Iceland, and there's now one in Naivasha. This explains why most Kenyans look a bit younger, because they spend quite some time around here. So we also have a solution for aging business people. Grazia, thank you so much.
Just before you leave, I think you didn't emphasize on is that industrial park is also an economic zone with tax benefits. Is it true?
Yes, James, it is an industrial park with tax benefits. We are in the final phase of getting it gazetted by CESA.
Thank you very much. And so you are telling the delegation in December to come with costumes, or they buy them in Kenya?
We rent them out if they need.
Thank you very much. And I think KenGen is a very beautiful place. As the team comes in December, I think you should keep a day, you visit our facility down at KenGen. Thank you very much, Rono. If there are any questions, they'll be given. And we'd like to invite John, the CEO of Petroleum Outlets Association of Kenya. These are also our partners in the petroleum sector, of which is also a very big sector in Italy. As we work together with them as their leader in leading them in sustainability, I think they have a message for you here. John, are you with us? Please come in and tell us more how you can work with the Italians. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ngomeli, for this opportunity. I think I'll just jump right into it. We're in the petroleum business, and what we do is we bring together the independent players in the petroleum space supply chain. These are transporters, these are resellers, these are retailers, and importers. So one of the key things that we are looking at, especially to partner with Italy, is on the area of autogas. That is LPG for mobility. Kenya is very, especially through the government, it's very keen on LPG, how to double consumption per capita by 2025. And what we are seeing is that the use case is not just for clean cooking, but also for mobility. We have seen what you've done in your country, and I think you've had lead time in Italy to be able to develop these technologies. We are just a nascent, subsector in Kenya. We only have about 12 retail stations for LPG out of 4,300 stations in the country. So that can tell you that we are not even at 1% yet. We need to grow that, and it is only in Nairobi. So we are looking at how do we encourage, that switch, because what is happening is that we are looking at LPG because of its low carbon emission and its low cost as a good transition energy, especially for mobility, because you can see where the prices for petrol are right now. Especially here in Kenya, we are looking at LPG being about 50% cheaper. And also we are seeing a lot of government incentive around it. There is no VAT on it. There is a lot of waiver on the taxation around LPG. So what we are looking for as an association that controls 68% of the Kenyan market is partnership with Italian companies that look into autogas systems, so that we can be able to establish supply chains for the conversion kits. We're also looking at knowledge transfer. We do need to build capacity around that. We know LPG is also quite a sensitive product in terms of safety. So we'd like to get the best knowledge out there so that we are able to handle it effectively, and we do not have challenges when it comes to health and safety. Kenyans are known to be very entrepreneurial and industrial, and we do have many who are in the Juakali sector. Juakali sector is what we call the informal manufacturing sector. So we may see quite a bit of adoption of conversion, and we want to mitigate what may happen by having strong systems of checks and balances in terms of where we source our kits, the kind of knowledge that we have, so that we can build the capacity. We are very interested in Italy's ability and strength around autogas. So that would be my presentation to this breakout session. And of course, I'll look out for questions on the chat area. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mr. Ngomeli.
Maybe before you break off, the issue of transforming your petrol stations into centers for energy and the e-bikes. Do you see an opportunity for for collaboration with
Yes.
investors? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I think I was trying to run because of the time, but another key area that we have already looked at in close, it's a short-term plan, moving on to medium plan, is how do we convert our stations? Number one, we are looking at solarization to have our stations, first of all, run on solar, and also be able to offer swapping sites for the small bikes and the three-wheeler bikes, where so batteries are charged and then they can work as swapping sites, and also as charging stations for the EVs. So the EV play is very strong, and we are working closely with EPRA. They just launched a tariff which is specific for EVs. We also saw a lot of concessions in the Finance Act 2023. So the government is really backing EV by introducing a lot of concessions around there. And therefore, we as industry players are positioning ourselves to see how do we get the best technology over here and how do we scale, because the challenge is that of scale as well. So we are looking at how do we move, because of the behavior change in transition, how do we also change our businesses to move from just gas stations or petrol stations into energy centers. So this is key to us. And of course, being the vice chair of the KEPSA Energy Board, we are looking at the whole country, and we are looking at how do we accelerate this transition, as well as making it just, so that those people who have already invested in it can see a route path to that, instead of seeing the barriers. So that's where we are, moderator.
Thank you very much. And really, I think there's a huge opportunity in this country, in this area. We see also the LPG, the last mile of LPG is a very big area that investments I know will be very much willing. I know Italy is also in the energy space. We have your partners here, Enel. I think they are still, I think if I'm correct, they still have oil blocks that are trying to explore. So I think there's a huge opportunity in this country, in the whole area of the energy ecosystem. So thank you very much. If there are any questions, I think they'll be picked up by the association. And I'm really proud that Italy is very well structured at how they take their companies abroad. Maybe I'll give back to Massimo Sonic. Massimo Sonic, are you here? You take it up from here. Is Massi with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Karibu sana. Take it up in the next few minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So thank you for moderating the first half of the session. So I think we are really running tight on time. So my name is Massimo Sonic. I'm the CEO of Sapin Consulting Group, and we offer our clients several services such as government relations, legal advisory, tax advisory, regulatory compliance, investment, and trade advisory as well. So today in this session, we'll have two presentations, one from Duncan Imbamba from State Department of Housing, and then the next one from LAPSET by Stephen Ikua. And then we'll have Maurice Okech also, chip in terms of how NCA will support the Italian investors. So we'll start off with Duncan Imbamba, Deputy Director of Housing. He's here. Duncan? Yeah. Do you have a presentation, or do you want us to help with sharing it? You're still muted.
Duncan, can you unmute if you're here? Okay, so maybe Mercy, we can close the next presentation.
So maybe we can start off with Stephen and then come back to Duncan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, Stephen, we can hear you.
Thank you. My name is Stephen Ekua, Director General for LabSet, and thanks for having me in this session. Mine is to give you a snapshot of what LabSet is. If you can have the presentation, or I just...
Stephen, do you want me to share your presentation, or can you do it by yourself?
We can share.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And LabSet is an acronym for Lamu Port, Southern Sudan, Ethiopia Transport Corridor. And this is an initiative of 3 governments, that is Kenya, Ethiopia, and Southern Sudan. These are the governments that came together and they conceived this project. And it was conceived way back in 2012 by the 3 governments. So what it was is that the 3 governments came together so that they can deal with the areas that have not been open or have not been developed previously, and therefore they came up with a common vision that the only way that we can be able to develop our area is only coming up with a second corridor. That is the one that we are watching in the previous script was the Northern Corridor, and this is the second corridor. And from what I've mentioned is that these are the 3 governments. You can see that there's a support of the various heads of state in support of these projects. That is the first slide. You can see that when the project was being commissioned way back in 2012 by the former president, that is the late President Kibaki, the late Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Meles Zenawi, and the current President of Southern Sudan. And the second one is the former President of the Republic of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. And the third one is our current President, who is actually the champion of this project. Some of the key components so that we can be able to accomplish this project is that we have the Lamu Port, we have the highway, we have the railway, we have the oil pipeline, and international airports and source cities. Those are some of the key components. And if you look at it, is that all these are components that are supposed to develop so that we can come up with this economic corridor. Because what we realize is that having these infrastructure projects, these are the engines of development, and these are the ones that are going to spur the development of these areas that have not enjoyed or had any realization of any development. If I look at the Kenyan perspective, when the project was conceived as a government, we took it up as part of the flagship project, where it is one among the Vision 2030 projects, where we look at it that if we can, how far we can be able to do it by the year 2030, how far we will have accomplished. So within the group, within our program, this is an area that we are looking at it that is one that is going to develop the northern or the 70% of the country, which has not been tapped, because what the country has been enjoying on is the northern corridor, that is from Mombasa all the way to Nairobi and to Maraba. That is what we call the northern corridor. And this is where the economy of this country has been actually relying on. And now the population and the land mass that is about 70% of the country has never had any kind of development, and the only way that can happen is now to have this corridor that we have as a government, we have accepted it. If you look at it, then the regional perspective, as I mentioned, is that the Lamu Port, or this where it starts, is serving the landlocked countries of Ethiopia and Southern Sudan. And if you look at it, this is an area that has got a population of almost 200 million people, and therefore is quite sizable. And within the regional perspective, the three governments have come up and have even formed a framework of collaboration on how they are going to work together, and even signed bilateral agreements so that when we are carrying up a project on this side, is also being done or being accepted on the other side, so that we have a framework that each of us have a responsibility that is a joint owned project. At the same time, we are lucky that this project has been accepted by the African Union, because African Union was able to realize that why African has not been able to develop or has been lagging behind is because of interconnectivity. And LAPSSET was identified as one of the projects that will be help in connecting the whole of Africa from east to west, such that goods from the eastern part of whether Asia, Japan, or China will get through the port of Lamu and get out to all the way to Cameroon. And goods from the USA and some from Europe will also get through from from Cameroon all the way to East Africa, so that we have a connectivity from east to west, the way we are also having from south to north. When the project was envisioned, every government was given some bit of responsibility of how to take about. On the Kenyan side, we were supposed to put up the first 3 bars from the exchequer, the money from the government, not from a loan, as a way of commitment. And the picture that you see over there is what has been done, and the port that is the Lamu port, which is now functional. And recently, we will be, because we have not completed the issue of connectivity, we put it up for concession so that it can have some bit of activity as we do the other activities. That is the progress that we have done. That is from 2014 up to the current time, what we have done so that we can be the status that we are in at the moment, the position that we are in terms of the development of the Lamu port, which is actually functional. In terms of the business-wise, is viable. It's in terms of agriculture, in terms of oil products. All these are demands that are required within the region and within the region and beyond. As I mentioned earlier on, is the issue of the government support of the project. That is our current president visiting the port of Lamu together with the entire cabinet, appreciating the work that has been done. And that shows the kind of support that the government of Kenya is putting up. In need for us to develop and to support the corridor, we need to come up with that industrial park, and therefore we have special economic zones that have been designated in Lamu Special Economic Zone, Isiolo, Turkana, and we have also identified Moyale as areas that we're going to have these zones that are going to support the corridor, because when you put this infrastructure, it requires to be supported by certain activities that will make it viable. And this is where we are saying that if we are going to have people who are coming in to invest, this is a very big opportunity that they will be able to come and have put up their industries and benefit from what we have done. In terms of the highways, we have done some good work in terms of ensuring that goods that are docking the port of Lamu are easily put up, easily getting into the inside the interior of the country, and also all the way to Ethiopia and Southern Sudan. We have done some of the sections of the highway, and we are, if you look at that section, is that we have done some parts which are complete, others are still awaiting, because what we are doing is that we are looking for investors to come in and maybe do the issue of the tolling, so that they can also participate in this opening of this corridor. This is part of the gallery of what the LAPSSET has done in terms of the towns that we are having, and one of them is those who have been familiar with the country, that is the Turkana, which previously before the project.
Is it possible to wrap up in the next 2 minutes?
Yeah. Thank you. These are just. We also have the real project that which is the LAPSSET that has been accepted by the AU, and this is the one that is one of the projects that the AU is sponsoring, so that it can actually connect the Africa. We also have the issue of the crude pipeline, because we have oil that we are discussing in the Turkana oil field, and also Juba, that is Southern Sudan. We have oil that has been discovered over there. And we also in the same plan of the lab set, we also plan to have airports in Isiolo, Lamu, and Turkana, and that is the airport that has been done at Isiolo. And finally, we also want to do the issue of the resort cities. What I want to mention is that I think that is these are the impact of what the project is going to do. What I want to say is that Kenya is the fastest growing country within the region. And as my speakers previously have mentioned, is that we have a good workforce, we have the potential, and this is the climate and the location of the country. This is so that we can be able to access goods to the interior of this country. In terms of the security, I know it might be a concern, but I want to assure you that we are total of it, and quite a number of UN agencies are within the country. And lastly, in terms of hospitality, we are among the best in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ikwa. So I don't know if Duncan can now present. Duncan, have you fixed the technology challenges? Duncan? Okay, so
let Duncan, Mercy, let Duncan unmute. We can see he's trying to talk. Duncan, right. Maybe you unmute.
Mr. Duncan his microphone doesn't work, maybe because his audio is on.
Yeah, Duncan, are you able to unmute? We can't hear you. We can't get you. So do we have the next presenter in the as Duncan tries, and yeah, please, you can go the next.
Yeah, so I think we'll give Maurice Akech, Executive Director for National Construction Authority, a chance to comment. I don't know if he has any presentation today. Maurice? Okay, seems Maurice is not with us today.
So Maurice is not there, so can we go back to Duncan? Are you able? Are you able, Duncan, to connect?
Maybe you can try with your phone.
Can you hear me? Can you
hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm here representing the State Department of Housing and Urban Development, that is at the forefront of the affordable housing program. So first of all, the State Department of Housing and Urban Development has got a vision, and the vision is to be globally a competitive organization in provision of adequate and decent housing in a sustainable environment and to coordinate urban development. Our mission is to facilitate access to adequate and decent housing for sustainable socio-economic development. The department has several mandates, provides housing policy management. It has got management of civil servants housing scheme. This is a scheme where the government builds houses for civil servants to buy, and there are also some for rental. Then there is development and management of affordable housing. This is where we are now. There is the thing we are talking about mostly at this particular time. Also, it deals with the National Secretariat for Human Settlement, and this gives an opportunity for the government as it works with the other international bodies in the space of human development, human settlement. They also deal with appropriate low-cost housing, building and construction technologies, development and management of government pool housing, shelter, and they do also slum upgrading. We also deal with public office accommodation, lease management. And then we also maintain an inventory of all government buildings. I think what we are here today is talking about investment opportunities for the international community, the Italian. We have a very huge opportunity for investment in this sector of housing. This is because of the issues, the problems that we've had. We know that Kenya is experiencing an urbanization growth at the rate of 4.4%. This continues to rise, and this makes it possible, or it is mandatory, that we need to provide about for about 50,000 new urban dwellers join the urban centers annually. The Kenya National Development Plan targets at providing about 200 housing units annually across all income levels. So currently only 50,000, or this figure has slightly gone up with the new developments in the housing sector. 50 to 100 are being supplied annually. And this has resulted in a shortage of about 2 million units that are required in the country. In Kenya, the provision of housing has been the private sector. And this has targeted mainly the upper income groups. And this has actually left out the lower income. And this is why the affordable housing program needs to look at. There has been problems in terms of actualizing the goal of housing our people. First was the high cost of land. And then the second was high cost of construction as a result of high taxation on inputs. Then there was low uptake of constructed houses because of a lack of funding for the would-be buyers. And then also the government lacked provisions and therefore was not involved in this provision of government houses or affordable houses for its people. There has also been a low mortgage uptake in the country because of the high cost that is involved in it. One, the interest rates are high, and then we have the repayment periods are also been very long. So these are challenges that have caused the government to look into ways of addressing this so that affordable houses can be provided for the people. And also this is an investment opportunity. So to do with the high cost of land, the government at the moment is providing free land for the investors to develop housing units. This involves both national and county governments, and there are several projects that are ongoing in these pieces of lands. There's also another area where the private sector can provide land, and the developers they connect to get the owners of private land and develop this. What is available for the government or for this kind of people, the incentive that there is that once your project qualifies under affordable housing, there are tax incentives or incentives that you are able to get that will help you to construct the houses so that you help in the alleviation of the housing problems that we have. For the issue of problem or the challenge of the high cost of construction, there are also tax incentives that have been put in place that if you are in projects that are under affordable housing, there's exemption of VAT on imported and local purchases of construction materials. And then also for the companies, the payment of corporate tax for construction of over 100 units has been lowered, so that this is to encourage the would-be investors to get involved in the construction of the new affordable houses. On the issue of the low uptake of constructed houses as a result of lack of finances, there's been the establishment of the Kenya Mortgage Refinancing Company, which gives the participating lenders money to give mortgages to home buyers at rates that are affordable and that are more long-term than the earlier ones. On the issue of budgetary provisions, that this was a challenge. The government, through the Financial Act 2023, is now able to get 1.5% from salaried workers and the employers. And this will go a very long way in ensuring that now the government has to say or can assist in the provision of houses. The government there will invest directly in housing, in provision of necessary infrastructure and amenities to support affordable housing. So in this, the opportunities available, the State Department of Housing and Urban Development has been implementing the Affordable Housing Program through different delivery models that allow investors to participate. This guided by the development framework guidelines developed by the department. And if you can look at the models that are available, and this is where the investors can look for opportunities to get involved. We build, design, finance, and sell model where the developer comes with all that is required with the design.
Duncan, sorry for interrupting. Is it possible to wrap up in 2 minutes? We're very soon invited to the plenary session.
Yes. Okay, so there is that model of build, design, finance, and sell. This is where the developer takes on the risk of selling. Then there's the other one where we have the design, build, finance, and transfer. And I think this is where the issue of the new housing fund will come in, so that the government is able to take those units that have been completed and then offload them or sell them to the other people. Then we have the engineering, procurement, and construction, where the normal procedure for designing, procurement, and construction will be required. So the available opportunities in these models: one, there'll be need for consultancy services in design and supervision. There'll be need for construction services, that is contractors. We'll need finance people to come in and finance these projects. We'll need provision of materials and new construction technologies and provision of construction equipment. I think I end there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Duncan. Thank you so much, Stephen, as well. And all the other participants that have presented to us during this session. I hope it's been insightful to all our potential investors. So we look forward to working with you as Sapient in collaboration with KenInvest. And for any questions, since we're not able to take any, please you can channel them through ITA. Then we can get them and we can see how to collaborate further going from here. So yeah, thank you very much for attending this session.